Letitia James coming in saying she can rescue the Democrats and the country from one Donald Trump because she's got an idea for a new lawsuit. This is what she's investigating right now. Insider trading, possible insider trading for Donald Trump. Because remember the other day, he said, buy, it's a good opportunity when the markets were tanking. They tanked like 2 times, right? It was getting kind of ugly. I mean, people thought my Twitter account had been hacked because I was like, do something. The 10-year treasury yield is at 4.5%. It's down to 4.3% today, so that's good. But we were getting word of something called, without boring you too much, a basis trade that was kind of imploding. So when the basis trade was going to implode, it meant, you know what, the bond markets were kind of, upped. And that meant that it was going to be really, really ugly. And before you say, oh, well, who cares about Wall Street? I'm just going to say it. You know what? You think you don't care. But all those companies employ a lot of people. And you think you don't care, but you know how you borrow money, and whether it be on your credit card or for your home loan, that's all dictated by what's going on in the treasury market. So if we have to pay a whole lot more interest on our debt, if people don't want to buy our debt, if there's some kind of implosion and nobody trusts our debt, that's not good for us, okay? That's just not good for us, which is why you saw a little bit of a pivot. I think Donald Trump is very flexible on this stuff. But somehow they're turning that into insider trading, courtesy of one Letitia James. So again, she's out with this big new thing saying, I am going to look at insider trading. She confirmed it to the New York Post. I'm showing you here the article, this just coming out moments ago, saying that she is scrutinizing whether insider trading took place in connection with this 90-day pause on customized reciprocal tariffs that were announced last week. So again, he came out with the whole plan. It was like pretty onerous, right? Like even countries like Switzerland that charge 0 tariffs for us were getting hit with 30 some odd percent. And then when everybody freaked out, he pivoted. Because you know what? It was the right thing to do. And now she's going to hit him with insider trading. Oh, it was just a ruse. It was just a big scam. We just wanted to see if we could make a little money off all of you. Come on. The examination is in its preliminary stages, not yet a full-fledged probe, according to James's office when she spoke to the New York Post. They write, it was not immediately clear whether specific individuals and companies were subject to the review, which was first reported by CNN. Don't forget, shortly before the markets opened on April 9th, the indices were in a free fall because there was all this uncertainty, right? I said it. I was on actually with Steve Forbes and Steve Moore, a couple of my friends on More Money. It's a show on ABC radio. And it actually not ABC isn't ABC. It was a New York radio show. Katzimatidis, I think, owns the channel. Anyway, we were like, they're probably going to have to do something like a 90-day pause, because realistically, like even if you want to put all this stuff into place today, how are you going to do that, right? Like everybody has to negotiate a trade agreement. You got all these countries and all these different places. Like let's just be logical about it. A 90-day pause makes sense. But the markets were tanking. Then he announces the 90-day pause, but not before sending that Truth Social tweet, truth, whatever you want to call it. So now she considers that insider trading. I don't know. I mean, it sounds to me like, if you're watching that, you're like looking at the triple Qs, that's the NASDAQ going way down. And it kind of seems like, you want to buy when volatility goes up, right? Buy low, sell high. That's the idea. Not that we're out of this mess. Right? Like this could just be beginning for all you know, right? This could be like the moment, after Bear Stearns and they thought everything was cleaned up, and then you had Lehman Brothers come along. But no, that's not going to stop them. Here's AOC taking on the mantle, of course.
Trump seems to be doing, from tweeting people to buy stock and then later announcing his development on taxes. If people are pissed about insider trading here at the House, look at what's happening at the White House right now and with the Republican Party.
Do you think he knew what he was doing when he sent out that message about stocks before he made the announcement?
It sure seemed like he did. I don't think that it was a coincidence. I don't think that Trump just coincidentally said buy stocks and then shortly later made an announcement that dramatically inflated and dramatically raised a lot of these asset prices. And, I've heard murmurings on the floor that there may have been people that knew that this was coming. And I'm very interested in seeing some of the stock disclosures that come out when those reports are due. And I'm very interested in what members of Congress have been buying and trading stocks in the last 24 hours prior to this tariff announcement.
Well, we've talked about this before. Frankly, members of Congress should not be trading stocks at all. Let me just say that. Like they need to put it in a blind account, right, or managed account, and they should not have any say over any of it. Period. Full stop. End of story. So she's not wrong on that. But to somehow allege that he's involved in insider trading, I mean, this one floors me because he told the world, okay? He's like, it's a great time to buy. It's not like he was calling his friends and calling this one and that one. Oh, you got to do this. No. He told everyone, hey, it's a great time to buy. By the way, he did that, not to say he calls the bottoms or anything, but didn't he do that like the worst day ever for the market? It was like a total bottom in the market in April of 2020. And he did the same thing. He was like, oh, now's a good buying opportunity. Oh, hey, maybe you need to get True Social or stay on your Twitter account and figure that one out. Here is some moron in the House, again, trying to suggest that it is market manipulation. These guys are unbelievable. Anything that they can do to get him, no matter how ridiculous it sounds.
On the possible insider trading and market manipulation, you are one of the people who have been calling for an investigation into the president and those around him. Where do you see evidence to warrant an investigation? Do you think there will be one?
Well, to be clear, market manipulation is fraud. It is a felony. And when you look at the facts, and that is why I am joining with my colleague, Representative Terry Sewell, who is the ranking member of the Oversight Committee for Ways and Means, along with 131 House Democrats calling for a full investigation. An investigation that wants to look at how Donald Trump tanked the market with tariffs, then spiked it with the pause, but only after he gave notice to his billionaire friends. And the proof is there. $300 billion of additional increases for billionaires and their investments, while Americans whose retirements, whose health savings accounts.
Oh my gosh, I can't even hear it anymore. He's such an idiot. I mean, how do we get these people in the House of Representatives? I would really like to know, why is America electing idiots? That guy's an idiot, okay? Because he doesn't understand how any of this works. By the way, the billionaires lost a heck of a lot of money too. All right, if you were smart enough to kind of swoop in and buy right before the trade deal was announced, then hey, great. But now that's somehow insider trading because Trump said, hey, now's a good buying opportunity. Does anybody think that maybe he was actually a little concerned? Do you think this, you got to be really conspiratorial to think that Donald Trump decided, I'm going to announce all these tariffs in the Rose Garden so that I can tank the market so that me and my friends can go and buy it up, and then, we'll be sitting pretty. You really think that that's what went down? Buddy, you guys are just not smart. I know that you are just not smart. In some ways, I sort of wish it was, right? Because then you would know, there was a plan. I think what happened was he announced all these tariffs. There was some confusion between deficits and tariffs. Peter Navarro was in charge of the thing. Peter's always been, I'm just going to tell you, I've known him forever. We used to bring him on as a total lefty to dispute my friend Steve Moore, who's a total capitalist, because it would be Fireworks Friday on CNBC. I've known him for a long time. I realize he cares about the American worker, but I don't know as he cares about them in the context of the overall system. And before you say, oh, the overall system doesn't matter, I'm just going to tell you, yeah, it does. Okay, it does. Maybe it should matter less. Maybe we need to prioritize work. You've heard me say that a zillion times. We do need to prioritize workers, and we need to prioritize manufacturing that is high-tech manufacturing that means good jobs and gives us control over our supply chain. But I've told you before, I run a deficit with my dry cleaner because guess what? I don't want the dry cleaning equipment in my house, and I don't want to do my own dry cleaning. Thank you very much. So that's a trade deficit that I, in the Trish Regan household, will run all day long, regardless of whether or not they consume podcasts or whether or not they're buying my financial research. I don't really care. I'm going to take that trade deficit. But if it's something that's important to my operation, say, like, you know, running all the computer stuff that I need in my studio on a given day, I kind of want to insource that, right? I don't want to outsource some of that stuff. So you got to kind of pick and choose on this stuff. But to come out and say, oh, now we're going after him for insider trading, you people are really high. But you know what, Letitia, something's getting to you, clearly, honey, baby. Wow, did you see her? What was this, 2 Fridays ago? Woo, she's fired up. You know why? Because the federal government took away all that money because turns out DEI stuff, it's not legal.
Again, I apologize. Listen, 57 years after the assassination of Dr. King, and Dr. King talked about that stone of hope. And it's that stone of hope that gives me a fire in my belly each and every morning. It's that stone of hope that allows me to wake up and to stand to Donald Trump and to say, Donald Trump, I'm not afraid of you. It's that stone of hope. It's that stone of hope that gives me power. That's that stone of hope and the belief in each and every one of you to let you know that I'm not going to allow my ancestors, all of those who died for me, to be in this position. I am not going to disgrace them and disappoint them. I am going to use the law both as a sword and as a shield and challenge Donald Trump. And each and every time he issues an illegal executive order, I am going to stand up to him because he represents to me sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. Sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. And so DEI, as far as I am concerned, is more than about just black people. Let's be honest.
That's right.
DEI is about paid parental leave. DEI is about disabled children. DEI includes a number of categories. So when they talk about DEI, let them know that they're not only coming after us, but they're coming after all of us. And we've got to stand together, a stand in community, stand with this great organization under the leadership of our civil rights leader, Reverend Al Sharpton, who has been a light, a bright and shining light in the darkness. But I don't know about you. It's that stone of hope that inspires.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So they're going to do whatever they can, even if they can try and pin some kind of false insider trading scandal on him now. And she's going to look to Al Sharpton for guidance. You might want to look for some insider trading by way of Al Sharpton. Just saying. Al Sharpton, who pocketed $500,000 before sitting down to interview one Kamala Harris on MSNBC. He put $500,000 for his charity in his pocket. She writes a check and then he gets on MSNBC. MSNBC has a few problems, let me just say. I mean, not just Rachel Maddow, but I'd be hightailing Rev Sharpton so far out of there, I wouldn't let him near the place. They have to do what they can to restore credibility, and Sharpton is not the way. Nor, Letitia James, is your little lawsuit into insider trading.